Okay. Well, we're here. I'm sure everybody. Oh no, the allergies are starting to already do their thing. And I'm gonna have to wait on the sneeze. All right, I'm gonna keep talking. Here I am thinking I was gonna sneeze, but um, uh, yeah, that threw me off for a bit of a loop. The almost sneeze, but not quite. How's everybody doing? We are entering with probably the most awkward cold open I've ever done. I meant to say that I there was no original plans to stream, but I got here early, and well, here we are. I've got a lot of things to say on this podcast episode, number 4. Well, a lot more than I would have for the past few weeks, so we'll just find the camera wherever that may be. It's clearly somewhere on this scene list, but I don't keep very good track of these things. Aha! It's there. It's there. And so am I. So, welcome everybody. It's good to be back. Episode 4 took way too long to put out, as every other Sunday that I would have normally had available was just clogged up by, not clogged, more or less taken by more important things. Going to visit my family, settling other issues, dealing with things that quantify greater priority. And naturally, this was not one of them. However, I'm now going to have time, and in some way, you might say I'm going to have way more time than usual now, because, and this does have to do with the first topic of the day, but it's important for me to say that it never seems like the Glass channel is very stable. It just kind of like, it's in for a while, exits out of relevancy, actually just kind of exits out of activity due to some life changes because of my job field and how often I am never, ever, ever, ever in one place for more than 6 months. But I was in one place for more than 6 months with the Northwood Saga, a saga that you could say is on its sequel because of the Minnesota Saga not really getting a name when it first aired back in 2021. I don't really give names to these. You could say these arcs haven't been appropriately named, but the Northwood Saga, the job I've been a part of for over a year, I was hoping for a little longer, is unfortunately ending early. So, I'll be here a little bit longer, but it's not going to be for much longer. It's going to be at least another 3 months of this beautiful little location here. And then I will be going elsewhere in the future. Wherever that elsewhere is exactly, I don't know. But it will be somewhere. And you'll figure that out later. Everybody will get the chance to see where I'm at next. I sure don't know, but I can't speculate on that yet. It will, however, play some role in how things are going to be wrapping out. Odds are I will still do things about as normal as I can possibly do them, but they might be a little bit less frequent because I'm going to be taking advantage of doing more things over the weekend, getting out of the house more often, and traveling, because that will be a thing. Some of that I'll have time to stream while I'm on the road, but other days I won't. So, no promises on exactly what, but I think this month of May will still be a Metroid-themed month, and I'll reveal more information on how I'm going to approach that, but I'm not gonna say it's gonna be to the same degree of involvement as previous years, although it might be more than 2023. I think it will probably be more than 2023. I think that's a low bar to clear though, so it'll come back, and I intend to complete my playthrough of Metroid Prime, so be sure to expect that. But when I'm not busy trying to find work in May, there will be Land of Good Carts, May 2025. I will be doing a tournament for that, but yeah, that's going to be in 3 weeks. About 3 weeks from now. Crazy to think it's that close, but here we are. Aside from all of that, oh, here it comes. It waited 10 whole minutes before it actually happened. I've had that sneeze under my belt for a while. I've had spring allergies, and they are very annoying. So, this is going to be the sneeziest episode of the Glass Podcast that there is. That's fine. I suppose there's not too much to say about that. June is going to be experimental. Same with July. I don't know what I'm going to stream for those months, but there's going to be stuff that's streamed. It may not be very frequent. In some weeks might be only one stream a week. We'll get there when we get there. I'll be playing it by ear. I'll be playing it by whatever plans are more important in place. I cannot exactly divulge what those plans are because it's just in my best interest to not do so until, well, until we reach the day of. So that's a thing. June and July are going to be those 2 months where there will be streams, but how many there will be is a mystery to me. So, yeah, that's a thing. And, of course, July is going to be kind of that approaching Wisco Kart Meets weekend, which is the first week of August. And August, I suspect, will be the last month that I'm here. I could stay longer, but I'm probably not going to. And I don't have a mind for what will happen in September. We'll get there when we get there. I'm going to make an assumption that for better or for worse, that there will be some form of the Glasses Summer Games Speedrun Saga 2025. Just not sure what type of condition it's going to be in. We'll figure that out as we get closer. I want to do it. It'll give me something to take my mind off of. It will probably have to be shortened compared to the previous years. But, that's fine. I don't really think I'm that worried knowing that I'm going to have to shorten the heck out of it. I'm actually kind of okay with that. So, with that all being said, as things come to an end, it's very possible that this channel could go back to being live in the basement, which would be funny, but also sad at the same time. But my goal is going to be to avoid that and just smoothly transition from the job that I had to the very next one. And that could send me scrambling from one side of the United States to the other. I have no clue. There's really no definitive, this will happen, this will not happen. I am going to be figuring that out as I go. And got a little bit of time to soul search. I've got a little bit of time to figure out if I really want to hit the ground running. And I most definitely have time to have my life in order. And stream. And do travel. Because, I would have had to immediately get out of my apartment if the job was ending right away. But because there is, the financial situation is going to be fine. I'll just put it that way. It does not have to be immediately out. So we'll put it in those best words and just say, yeah, it's a change, but honestly, it's going to be all right. It's going to be fine. It's not like I'm a stranger to having to switch from job to job. It's that sort of stage of career advancement that I'm in, but also, even if this wasn't in my control, it's not for me to give any details on, because it doesn't impact my streams all that much, other than they'll either happen or they won't. Which sometimes I'm even very, very, very lax when it comes to when my job life is stable. So I just figured, put that update out there. There will be things, there will be topics, there will be talks, and really, I'm going to do my best to make it seem like life is normal. Because normalcy is in the eye of the beholder. And, well, for me, the most normal thing is going to be approaching Wisco Kart being 2025. So as it would be, we'll just kind of quickly transition onto that topic right next. As I get closer. We're 3 months away from Wisco Carp Meet this year, the second one, and the numbers are already going to be better than last year's. I'm just going to say that right out of the gate. This early in the game, compared to where I was last time, where I had nobody confirmed, is way better. A massive improvement, if I do say so myself. Well, I might say it's 400 to 800% better than before, and we'll reveal some details as to why that's the case. A, I'm learning mistakes from last time. Getting this out, getting the word out ASAP. B, using the energy from PA Carp Meet, going into this event, but also C, and this may be the riskiest decision, is including another Mario Kart game as a second bracket, because that is a thing that is going to happen, and there will be people that will try both games out. So there'll be some crossover interest between the newest Mario Kart World game. Originally, it was going to be Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but the Mario Kart, my fellow tournament organizer and I made the choice with the newest game, on the horizon. It's a month away. That's really difficult to process, like what the actual hell is going to be the second game. Mario Kart World there could not be any better choice for a Mario Kart game that's going to get that second bracket. Simply put it, it's just so new, and people are going to want to check that out with the type of stuff that USMK does with their championships and their circuits. Already for what is currently the newest available game. 8 Deluxe tournaments for the game at its highest quality have been massive, big for the size of the communities that exist within the general structure. There's anywhere between 50 and 200 people in the tournaments. So that's big. That's really, really big numbers. And while Wisco Carp Meet is not going to draw those numbers, it will most certainly bolster what was a very humble start. So, Danny Fathom is going to be handling the bracket for Mario Kart World. That is going to be bringing a lot of attention to the Mario Kart 64 bracket in one way, because as far as the cost goes, it covers both brackets. So if you wanted to ever try both of them without any extra costs, you don't have to worry about that. That will be available. It incentivizes people who would normally only try Mario Kart 64 to try the other Mario Kart game. It will incentivize people who only play the newer Mario Kart games to give Mario Kart 64 a chance. And because of that, it will give the possibility of people to just add a few other kart games under their belt, learn more about it, and potentially bring the hype a little bit higher than what could have been available previously. So there is that to be said. And it's going to increase the stream value, as the streams for Mario Kart World are going to just be leagues above what my crew is capable of currently for Mario Kart 64, but that's okay, because we're going to be making some small changes here and there, responding to taking the feedback and cycle that was implemented into Mario Kart 64 for PA Carp Meet, and applying it on our level, and taking care of a few extra things that will most definitely improve the situation for the game that I originally started this event for. And speaking of things that will be extra for the game, there will be more chances for play-in rounds, so there will be extra streams, so that the play-in rounds could be, more matches, more stuff, more people available to watch at once. On top of that, there will be a consolation bracket for Mario Kart 64. It is easy to get eliminated ASAP, so we're going to give some people a second chance to participate in that bracket. Gives more playtime. And that will certainly be a small goodie for the winner of the consolation bracket. I'll say that much. In regards to the original bracket, that's still happening. And then there will be the elimination, the single elimination bracket structure. That's going to be what you would expect that to be. Top 2 advance out of each group of 4 until we get to the final 4. So that is going to be a thing as well. And with the extra goodies that are arriving on the horizon, the stuff that I'm going to do to make this version, improved, just sort of learning from the side steps and down steps and downturns that happened during the first one. It's going to be a good time. And also, you'll want to watch out when 2 or 3 of us start having Airbnb locations available for multiple people to stay overnight, because that will decrease costs for going. I would be very, very I'd be watching consciously for when my friend Josh has one available. He goes under the name Wazan on the server, so you'll want to be on the lookout for when he notches a site. Danny Fathom will probably have one for his crew of Mario Kart World players, and then there will probably be a few others that are going to pop up here and there. Obviously, there are hotels in the area, but they're not the cheapest. Green Bay is not exactly always the most affordable, but it is one of the nicest locations to host a tournament. That much I can tell you. And everything as far as accommodations and amenities is, I'd say, fantastic. As far as cities go, it's one of the best. Now, with that all being said, I'm talking about all of this, but if you want to keep up more with it, especially because there will be an announcement in the next few days. Not that place. Well, but you can pop in there if you want to. That's my personal Discord server for where I have my own announcements for my own channel. That will probably be important to pop into as well. The actual Wisco Kart Meet event server is found here, where you can keep up with my updates and talk to other people, and potentially make it an event for yourself to go to. 3 months from now, August 1st through the 2nd. It's at the Schwabenheim Bowling Alley in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Fantastic place. I have nothing but good words to say about the Schwabenheim Bowling Alley. Their venue is great, very accommodating. Everybody was very happy with it last year, and we're going back again this year. So be there or be square. So yeah, that's Wisco Kart Meet discussed. And of course, I suppose it is only appropriate that I guess we'll talk a bit about kart meets a little bit more. I was considering switching topics immediately, but there's a few other things. There will be kart events in the summer. If there is one that is probably the most interesting to everybody that is coming up on the horizon, going into June, the Eurokart community usually has their big trademark event, which of course is, Euromeet, the Kart 64 community's biggest event across the pond. Going to be held June 16th through the 22nd this year. It's out in Germany, and they, Matthias and the crew out there, the Eurokart crew do a pretty fantastic job with those events, so definitely be on the lookout for that, given it has not been canceled. And I want to assume it hasn't been, but we'll see. That's just what I last observed, so definitely be on the lookout for more details for that one. There will probably be a Summer Kart Invite related event. That's speculation. Do not take this as final word. I'm going to assume it's continuing from the past 3 years that it's run. You can check out more information on that later down the road when Dan and those guys decide to post some information about it. I'm assuming. That's an assumption. But those are the 2 big ones. And then probably one that some of y'all, if you have money to engorge on and you want it to have a chance of a lifetime, there's going to be a 4-player versus tournament out in Japan that's being hosted by the Japan's Mario Kart 64 multiplayer community. Kazuya posted about it. It's in October. It's the 5th of October on a Sunday, no less, which is crazy to think. It's out in Akihabara, which is part of one of the prefectures in Tokyo. you're going to want to check out the main server for more information on that, because I only know so much. They have sign-up forms for people from in North America, so definitely take a look at it, because y'all got like less than a month to apply for it if you want to go there. If you really want to. I mean, this is one of those, like, if you wanted to ever play kart with Kazan, go across the pond to Japan, there are going to be very few chances like that, so. But in the meantime, I've kind of just run through all the kart topics. For now, there's going to be another one I'm going to talk about just a bit shortly. I'm going to take a bit of a detour to some other things that happened. Firstly, because I'm a speedrunner, I have been for many, many years, we got the final list for SGDQ 2025 that dropped. I didn't submit, as I just didn't think I was going to be able to make it in the first place. I didn't have much leave time available. What are you going to do? When it's just gone, it's gone. It is what it is, but hey, now I might be able to go. But that's also in question still. What I do have to say is I'm just going to take a look at it right here, and we'll just run through some of the games that are included, including bonuses and backups, because there are certainly runs that I am curious about. So, yeah, SGDQ, one of the biggest speedrun marathons of the year. It's out in Minnesota. I mean, if you wanted to go and you're in the Midwest, it's pretty close. It's going to be July 6th through the 12th. Very big event. If you have the chance to make it, I highly encourage you go. I have nothing but good things to say as a stream watcher. And I intend to see if I can make it for a few days. Even as a spectator. It's a possibility, so. We'll see. We shall see. But there's a whole lot of games in here. Some of these are more surprising than others. Some of these are just not surprising whatsoever. Some of these I can only say so much about. If I don't say too much, it's just simply because I'm passing through them, or I just don't know much about the runner, or I don't know much about the game, and that's fine. I will specify if they're a main one or a backup. The first two are mains. Going to be on the main schedule. Plumber for All Seasons, 80% by Beast 2721, and then AW Fight Forever by Pork Chop 44. I'm sure it's not the Pork Chop that I know, but it's a wrestling game, amateur wrestling game. I don't know. I can only speculate so much. I know very little about most of the professional wrestling games that are made. I do know about this backup one. This backup on Amnesia the Bunker. Amnesia is a very popular horror series, but I know a lot more about Blood Thunder. Blood Thunder has been in multiple past GDQs. High quality runner. Gives good commentary. Has been a mainstay of GDQ runs in the past, and it's unsurprising that he's on the backup list, even at the worst. I'm going to take a guess. An airport for aliens currently run by dogs has got to be a part of the silly block. I with a name like that, I can't think of any other reason why it would be that. Yeah, that's unsurprising. That does not surprise me at all. It's by PMC Trilogy, so good by him. We're getting to the first online run by Punchy, which is Ao Oni. I did not pronounce that right. I'm so sorry. At 15 times speed, which I think might be an incentive, but I'm not quite sure. Not really familiar with that game, unfortunately, so I can only say so much. It is online, so that much I can say. Arctic Eggs. Your guess is as good as mine as to what it's about, but with a name like that, I would certainly check it out. I can only guess so much about the game that's next on this list, which is, Astra and the new Constellation, but I do know about Sexrex, one of the main organizers for Midwest Speedfest. Highly experienced, did a really good job working alongside the crew for Midwest Speedfest, so check them out for this run at this year's SGDQ. I would certainly encourage that. Another run that's been experienced for many years, run so many different games, more than a decade, probably been around like 12 to 15 years. Dracodan with Astro Boy, Omega Fector. Be sure to check them out. We got Microwave with Avowed. Don't have much information on that. Get to Backyard Baseball 97. If it's the game that I am thinking of, I'm sure it's the one that everybody knows about. It's the Backyard Baseball game that everybody had a CD copy of at some point or another in the past. I guess it's not too surprising that it's made its way onto the list. Somebody was bound to pick it up. Being run by Anarchy, so be sure to check that one out. And unsurprisingly, just simply because it's in the savvy period of like acclaim and popularity, it's Balatro. There was at some point or another that Balatro was going to seep its way into a GDQ. You can only go so long before a game that's in the zeitgeist finds its way into it. It's a game I've been aware of for quite some time. Just never really brought myself to play it. Just I don't know, just a lack of interest. But a lot of people love Balatro, so I'm sure it'll have a good audience. You're on work. Well, it's good to have you here, even if for a brief amount of time. And this is a game that a whole lot of people know about, Banjo-Kazooie, which, hey, look, the fact that there's a bid war between N64 and Xbox 80% is actually quite interesting. I think might be the reason that the game made its return, is the consoles appear to make a difference in how quickly you can complete the category. So, Banjo-Kazooie, I don't think it's been on the list in a good while, but I could be wrong. That being said, it's being run by TSR Storms, so that's going to be pretty cool as well. Batman Vengeance, if it's the Batman game I'm thinking of, it's not the Batman game I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of Arkham Asylum, but it's a new Game Plus category by MTG Judy. Back up with BCV, Battle Construction Vehicles. Don't know much about it, but it's by Yorkie, and I'm guessing it's a backup for potentially Silly Block. I don't know with certainty. This was a bit of an X factor, this next game. The fact that there's a showcase for Beat Saber. I don't know if there's ever been one for the game before, which is kind of surprising to me that Beat Saber has never seen a showcase on GDQ. GDQ likes to have games that are highly impressive to watch, and when you get to rhythm games that are at a faster level, it does match the spirit of, speedrun showcases and speedrun marathons, and it's being run by Kung Fu Fruit Cup, which, again, is a match made in heaven, considering how many years she has been involved with GDQ as a whole. It makes perfect sense that was going to be accepted. She gives good commentary, and I'm sure people will be looking forward to that. I'm sure it's going to be a good one to check out, especially considering how well she handles interviews, outreach, all the other things that she does. But that's there. Another iconic game, BioShock, any percent category. If you know BioShock, you know BioShock. It's one of those highly iconic games that was released during that mid to late 2000s era. Blasphemous, don't know much about it, but it's a short game that's any percent glitched, being run by Roche, I think, if you pronounce that correctly. Bonus game for Bloodborne. People love Bloodborne. It's one of those uber difficult games that always seems to draw in attention just because of how ridiculously difficult it is. Difficult stuff really is. I wish I knew about Bo, Path of T Lotus, because I don't know much about it, but it's seems like I don't know if Visuals has ever been in Maripon before, but it's very possible they've been on the block before. If not, good stuff to them. Bowl Out. All caps, any percent? Is this silly? Yeah, I kind of had to figure with a name like that, if it wasn't, it had to be silly. I felt like it had to be. Castlevania block is up next. This does not at all surprise me that it's in here. You know, Order of Ecclesia was a game that was ran at Midwest Speedfest this year, coming back, but Dragon Blitz is going to be handling it. And Dragon Blitz, extremely experienced with the speedrun marathons, so it is unsurprising that he is in the fold for this one. Rondo of Blood, I don't know if Rondo of Blood has ever been in GDQ, but, you know, good stuff seeing it there. Adventure Rebirth might also be its first inclusion as well, and I'm guessing it's the first inclusions for Bobby and Starwin, but we'll see about that. It is still pretty cool that there is that many, you know, Castlevania games after all these years. I have respect for the people that played, and it's cool to see it. A runner that was at Midwest Speedfest, but for Mario Brothers 2, impressive run, was very speedy, is 0 counts, and he'll be running Casual Birder. You'll have to figure out what that game is all about. If it's based off the name, it's got to be pretty interesting. Any percent category certainly could entail a lot of things right there. Cat lateral damage meows. It's silly block. It's silly block. That's what I figured. I have no reason not to check that out, and y'all need to tune in for that game. Retroverse is a genius for submitting that. I don't need to know much about it, but just off the name alone, it's going to be worth checking out. Another backup game, Caverns of Dreams, with being run by Mouse Shy. If they get let in. Here's a game that's very iconic. It has been for multiple years now, like 5 to 6 years. Celeste, All Hearts Race. I'm surprised there wasn't a race for this game yet. You would think that it would have been anything that would happen. And LM Jax and Eugene are going to be the two that main the helm for that one. Oh, and now we're going to get to iconic runners. Swordsman Kirby. SK, if you know anything about SK, one of the most talented speedrunners out there, also happens to be a pretty good commentator too, is running Chip and Dale, which is a little bit out of his usual wheelhouse, but it is the one player, 2 controllers category. So this is going to be moderately interesting. The same thing is true of Code Bunny, Axel percent by Star Anise. And I don't know anything about Control, but it is a game, and it's being run by Ashley93 of Breath of the BTW? That could mean a lot of things. I do not know exactly what that entails. I just know that it's there. All right, we're just moving down the line. So many games. There's a lot more than I expected. I might have to run through these a little bit quicker. You know, Cowboy Kid by KLM, 1187. Question Sanity. Joester is a well-known speedrunner within the community. Has been in a few GDQs in the past. Making a return. Bonus game for Cuphead, DLC any percent. I guess it's not too surprising that DLC would start to make an inclusion. Kurthar is the one to mean the helm, and it's possible that TMR might be on commentary for that one, because Mexican Runner did do runs of Cuphead in the past. Was a world record holder at one point or another. But it does appear that it is a bonus, only going to be accepted as an incentive if enough money is donated before the actual Cuphead run, which is being run by SPD Wolf. SPD Wolf might seem like a familiar name because SPD Wolf was one of the world record holders. Very talented runner in Castlevania for the NES, a game that is infamously difficult already. Cursed Halo. It's a bonus game. Actually, backup. Submitted by Shockwave. Cytodelia from TBCR. If I'm not saying much about them, it's because I'm just trying to speed through without, turning this into a 30-minute topic on its own. Dead Rising. What a category name. And my nose is starting to get plugged up. If you don't recognize the runner, I sure do. Edisys has been in quite a few GDQs in the past. Making a return to this one. I have to assume with a game like name like this. They had a lot of good like silly block games, but like maybe hopefully Deer Simulator, your average everyday deer game, shows up. Who knows? We'll see. Shay will be running Deltarune, all chapters. So that'll be interesting if you want to watch that. I probably won't, just simply because I want to remain spoiler free for that game. So, there is that much. Divinity is a backup, and I guess it's unsurprising it's coming from Railcoon. Railcoon might have time to run it. Railcoon might be added into the fold. They've been around for many years. One of the many familiar faces of GDQ, been a part of the staff, been a part of the hardworking team that's been contributing to the marathon in past years. So we'll see. They might be added to the main group of runs later down the line. We got DKC Returns HD being run by Spike Vegeta. Now, you got to be pretty familiar with Spike Vegeta if you have been around speedrunning. He's been around for so many years, and it's not too surprising he's being included in some form or another. It's always nice to have him included in the runs. Gives fantastic commentary, entertaining runner in general, and talented. It's got all the factors that everybody wants to see, for a speedrun marathon. And it just sells it well. So good stuff there. We got a bonus for Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. I'm assuming that this will probably be incentive has to be met for it if Lori D. Bunnykins is going to run that. I'm sure that people will pull through for that one. MathCat is going to be running Dr. Robotnik's Ring Racers. I only have so much to say about that. What does confuse me is if this is the Forest I'm thinking of, I could be looking at a completely different Forest. There is a Forest who used to play Project M and Super Smash Bros. Melee. So I might be thinking of the wrong Forest, but if it's the right one, the runner well. They're running Dread Delusion. Here's a game that most definitely deserves to be on the casting list for games. Emergency Call Ambulance is a ridiculous arcade game that was originally released for Sega by Sega. It's being run by Helix. Couldn't think of a better game to be included in the silly block because I saw it with my own eyes at Midwest Speedfest. It's incredibly entertaining. You don't want to miss out on this. It's going to be really good. I had an incredibly fun time watching it, and I think y'all will have a very fun time watching it too. This next one up here, I don't know if it's on. It just has an incentive to change the category. It's On Guard by Bouncy or Bounty. Confused me with the names on some of these. Oro might be a familiar name. He'll be running Ender Magnolia potentially. It's on backup. Evoland is being run by Illegally Sam. I don't know what made Sam illegal, but maybe one day he'll be Legally Sam. That's a bad joke. Let's move on. I'm just going to actually skip over backup games now. I'm just going to go, unless it's from a significant runner or into a significant game. Final Fantasy IX, that's going to be a lengthy category, being run by Ciliath. And then we also have Finding Frankie, being run by Nerd Squared. Oh, this is one of the funniest games. Get to Work by Mitriz. Now, Mitriz is a longtime, staple of GDQ runs and just other speedrun marathons in the past. The same is true of King JO4444. Is on backup for Ghostland Yard. And we got Halo Legendary full game being run by Coma. It's been a while since Halo 4 has been run. There's a lot of Halo runs on here. It looks like there's going to be a legendary race for Halo Reach, and it's being run by Dies, Nervy Destroyer Kronos, and Mankey. So that's got to be interesting. You don't often get to have a co-op race of any kind oftentimes. So that ought to be interesting. Relay runs or co-op runs are always fun to see, so it'll be interesting where the co-op plays into role here. Ooh, we got A racing game, if I've ever seen one, Hello Kitty Roller Rescue by Sega Star. I don't really have too much to say about it, but it is a game that exists. And the same is most definitely true of this one, Hercules The Legendary Journey. If it's the one I'm thinking of, it's one of the strangest N64 games, and is being run by Giga 7K. It has to be seen to be believed. If it's the Game Boy one, then it's even weirder. I don't know if I can really do it justice. You're just gonna have to check it out and watch it. It's strange. It is very strange, and it's unsurprising that it will show up on Silly Block. We have a bid for between Christine and Christopher for Hungry Ghosts, which is going to be run by Schmumbler. Short game, but definitely, I would say, would be a cool one to check out. This is a newer one. So Blood Thunder will be on the list for sure. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which is recent. That's only recently made, like last year. There's some backup games, one from Cobasco, who has contributed to quite a few Midwest Speed Fests, and also another GDQ in one of the highly beloved categories of Chibi Robos, bingo race category, alongside Jaxler in the past GDQ, which was 2024. Speaking of Jaxler, he's also on backup with Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. Hopefully that game is added to the list, but it might not. I would like it to be there because it's a very interesting little obscure game with some unusual skips and a whole lot of oddities that you not normally get away with in the past. There's going to be a race of Critical Level 1 between Sonic Shadow Silver 2 and Kirby Sora for Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep Mix HD. That one was back in, I think, the previous decade, and if you like that series, you'll want to check that out. One's going to be super interesting, definitely on my radar, is the task of any percent for Kirby Superstar Ultra, and my guess is it's going to complete at the end of Milky Way Wishes. It's either that or it's going to be Return of the King. It's one of the two. But you'll want to check it out because it's already a wicked category even without TAS abilities. And we are a little over halfway through the list, thankfully. Lego Star Wars, the video game for Game Boy Advance. Okay, so this is not going to be what you would normally expect, but it's going to be a wicked run anyways. Being run by Laser Trap, Snowball SMB has done runs for Midwest Speedfest in the past, and she will be running for Lena's Inception. Got a backup for Luigi's Mansion. It might be included, it might not be. Lumina Rush is going to be run by Leroy's Bro. Then we got MacBat 64. It might be a 64 game. Oh no, it's a PC game, so here I am being wrong. But it's going to be run by Caspi. That one I can tell you for certainty is not wrong. And here's a category that's super interesting. Yohanian is going to be running Mario Kart Super Circuit. Mario Kart Super Circuit is going to be on a main GDQ marathon. That is going to be something I will keep an eye on. And he'll be running the Nitro Cups category for that game. It's very interesting that that one is being included. I didn't know Yohanian was maining Super Circuit, which I just learned. My first time that I learned about Yohanian was in the bracket for PACE Mario Kart 64 tournament, so be sure to check that out. Here's a game that everybody knows the soundtrack for, whether they've actually consciously thought about it or not, which is Mario Paint Nat Attack 1 Loop by Gygus Blues. Gygus Blues is a very familiar runner. You know them, but I don't have to say anything about them. We have an all bosses and collectibles relay being run by Pestilist and B-Dud of Marvel Spider-Man 2. Be sure to check that out because it is going to be an interesting one. Mass Effect 3 is on backup. We, of course, it wouldn't be a GDQ without there being a Mega Man block of some sort, and the ones I made it in is in co-op run for any percent of Mega Man 3, being co-op ran by Colonel Fatso and Fastat CC. And then we also got backup for Mega Man 9 in case it needs some extra Mega Man for 8-bit. And then, of course, there's going to be an 100% race of Mega Man X4 by Ultra Uberness and Johnny Go. It almost confused me there. Mega Man Maker is a game I have not thought about in a very long time, but it figures that there are going to be some Kaizo levels that are showcased by MFP. So that should be very cool. Definitely check that out. Exiting out of the Mega Man block, we got just one Metal Gear game, and they chose Snake Eater, being run by Apache Smash. Should be a cool run. Metal Gear games are not easy as a casual, so I cannot see why not. Metal Slug X, being run by Sonic Kustar. And this is going to be a good one. I am quite excited that there's going to be an 100% race between Mike Food and Monkey for Metroid Zero Mission. 100% is such a cool category. There are routes for early power bombs, later power bombs, and I think you'll get to see both routes. I think that's my hope. I'm going to tune into that if I can, because I like Metroid Zero Mission. It was a formative part of my speedrunning career, and I wouldn't want to miss out on it. So I'm going to do everything in my efforts to watch that. And then, of course, a game that Jaxler ran at Midwest Speedfest this year, which is Mushroom Men. Spore Wars is on backup from Dark Teryx. We'll see if they run that game there. We have a race between Bree 12 AM, Fufa, Sika Lizette, and Nibiru. I butchered most of those pronunciations. I'm sorry, but they will be racing White's Heaven Rush for the game Neon White. That is going to be very, very cool. High octane. It's slightly under an hour. There's going to be a relay race of Nintendo Puzzle Collection. Flagel Stan, Wizard Person, FFR Pro, Poochie.exe, Packy, Savage Octagon are going to be doing a 3-game relay race for that. So I would encourage y'all to take a look at that. Numpy's Number Factory is got to be a goofy game. I can't imagine it's not. Yep. And it's going to be a random seed 90% race between Bystander Tim and From Dark Hell. So be sure to check that race out. Octopath Traveler being included in a speedrun marathon is pretty cool because I don't think it's ever been included before. And it's going to be run by Mocha Jones. Another game that I'm not sure has been included in the past in this particular version of it is Okami HD. And it's going to be a new game 80% category by Saunders Tech. One shot, 80%. It's just going to be run by Kiyoshi Kadre. And then we got one that I'm really interested in. I'm not sure. I don't think it's been mentioned too much by Uncle Slam, but I'm sure he's looking forward to seeing Jamich run Pac-Man Championship Edition DX Plus. It's going to be cool to see. High-level Pac-Man is always fun. And then one that's going to be intriguing. How do you run Plants vs. Zombies? If you want to figure that out, you're going to want to see Satan herself. What a name. She'll be running that game. Surprised that's not a goofy game block. I suppose that's just serious enough to be included. Here's somebody who I'm sure some of you are familiar with. If you've seen Conception was responsible for discovering the trench run skip in Star Wars Trilogy, A Prince of the Force, and then I was the one that made sure that it was reproducible. He'll be running Pocket Bike Racer. It's a racing game. 150cc standard race tournament, so I'll be sure to check that out. One of these days, the two of us will meet, but that day has not arrived yet. I believe there's going to be a showdown race between Corvame and Greta Ice Vixen of Pokemon Sword and Shield. So if you ever wanted to see what a Pokemon race looks like, this is going to be the marathon to watch for that. Speaking of Pokemon games, Head Bob will be running Pokemon X and Y, 90%, which is also not too much shorter. It's only slightly under 4 hours, or at least projected. And then we got Prison City. which is going to be run by Dan the VP. Could be updated or upgraded to 100%. We'll see if donators come through in the clutch for that. Moving right along, Pseudo Regalia. That's a game that's been included in past GDQ side marathons. Going to be on the main stage with Wilbun84 being the runner for that one. Got another showcase of Pump It Up Phoenix being done by Zello. Follow directly, going into the Q section of the alphabetical order. Quadrilateral Cowboy will be run by Artiseal. And then, of course, because it's Quake is incredibly iconic. Limey ran this run at Midwest Speedfest. You'll get to see Limey run this game again at SGDQ. And it might be a different category, but Limey's run Quake before. It's going to be fast. It's going to be high-octane action. Be sure to check that out. Colonel Fatso showed up again with Ray Force. So Colonel Fatso will have 2 runs on the schedule. Good to him. Good by him. We got Meta running Red Alliance. Just kind of moving on as quickly as I can because I've been taking a very, very long time with these ones, and I don't want to waste too much more time on them. I'm going to close the blinds and take a small break after I'm done with this particular one because I'm going to need it. Before we go into the mother load, we'll get there. Resident Evil HD Remaster, any percent, being run by Pessimism. You probably know about Resident Evil HD Remastered. Probably have some different strats compared to the old original game. Rockin' Cats. Interesting to see what that looks like. It's being run by Eldra. Ooh, this will be very interesting. I don't know how the loopy landscapes FF% works for Roller Coaster Tycoon, but it's Roller Coaster Tycoon. My younger brother really loved playing the game. If I could directly tell him Roller Coaster Tycoon is being run at this marathon, I would, but I'm not going to do it right now. But I'm going to tell y'all to check it out. It's being run by Dynamation. Rose and Camellia, all scenarios with no DLC. I'm not going to try to pronounce that, but he'll be running that game. We got a 2-player run of Rubber Bandits by Steve TV Online and Echo Tree. Then we have Sayonara, Mario World 2. I'm assuming that's going to be a mod of the original Mario World 2. Who knows? But you'll have to check that out. That'll be there too. We got Secret of Mana, pretty well known RPG being run. 1 player, 2 controllers with no multi-tap by Zeto X. Witherman is going to be running Sega Marine Fishing, which is obviously going to be a goofy time, a crazy time. A really, really interesting arcade game. I don't know how else to put it. Sekiro, it's been around. You know Sekiro. I don't have to say too much about it. If you like that Dark Souls core, it's there. It's there to be seen. Mitriz, you know a thing about Mitriz. It shouldn't be too surprising. Here's a game that y'all need to check out. Part of the silly block, Shaq Fu. Count Gooby. Will Count Gooby ever get sleep? I don't know. But he'll be running at SGDQ 2025. Check out Shaq Fu. Check out Gooby specifically running Shaq Fu at SGDQ 2025. If you don't do it, I'm going to find you. And I'm going to make you feel bad about it. No, I can't. But, you get the idea. Siren, under restricted category, being run by Casual Speedrun. What a name. Congrats to them. Skate Horse is got to be a silly game. Yep, that's what I assumed. Happy by 3 will be running that game. I think they've been in a past GDQ before, and if not, good for them. Sonic Adventure 2, Archipelago, Emerald Run, with the runners, of course, of that one being Dawn SR and Emerald. It draws my curiosity. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but it's a co-op run, so yeah, check that out. Sonic Heroes, another part of the Sonic block, being run Team Chaotix category being run by KD4. KD4, extremely good Sonic series runner, especially the 3D ones. Supersonic coming in clutch with Sonic the Hedgehog 2. That's most of the Sonic block right there. And maybe Sonic Rush will be included. If GQ, if he's feeling kind of Kirby Master, which, hey, look, I think Kirby has got to have had at least one run on here. And if it's not, it's that's going to be weird. But hey, look, Kirby Master on backup is it's a meme in itself. We're getting to Spelunky Series Triathlon 90% being run by Hectique. Then we got Spiral 3.5. Now, for Return to Forgotten Realms was included at Midwest Speedfest, and I think it might be the same runner too. Wed will be running that game. And then we got Star of Providence being run by Lilac. Vert Oligo. I butchered that one. I'm so sorry, Lilac. But yeah, they'll be running that game. Be sure to take a look at that. And then, of course, there's Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I think it's a more recent Star Wars game, and, it figures it would eventually make its way in. Be run by Z-Money Train. We got Still Weeks The Deep, an 80% category that's going to be run by Shark Hat 87. We got a 2-player, 1-controller category run from Ellipsis and L-Rock of Strider. And Strider is... The two of them I've run around before. Strider, I'm not sure. That game might have been included, might not have been included. What does interest me is that Super Mario 64 is back, and Beef is the one that's running it. It draws my curiosity. I don't know much about Beef, but I know, like, Super Mario 64 used to be like the, if you're good at it, and it would always just slip its way into the marathon for, like, who knows how many years. It's almost infamous in that way, in that regard, in speedrunning. But, like, hey, look, it's Super Mario 64. What else be said? I think that should be pretty interesting. Super Mario 64 is Super Mario 64. I'll just put it that way. Z-Kubi. I know a thing about Z-Kubi. Very talented SMB3 runner. Not at all surprising that there's going to be an 80% All Fortresses run from Z-Kubi for SMB3. And then the one that should not be too surprising, that it was included in the first place. The fact that there's going to be a relay race of Super Mario Maker 2 should not at all be surprising. They still need to take the story mode category at some point. My man Uncle Slam will submit that until the sun sets. I'm just going to be the first to say that. It's going to be run in a relay race between Jank Pickle, Alt Wolf, Isherwood, Casper, Lil Curbs, The Beast, Dolphin, and the Riley C. The crowd gets a lot of hype around Super Mario Maker in general when it's included in a GDQ. You probably won't want to miss out on that. And on bonus is Super Mario Odyssey, 80% 2-player for the likes of Jack in the Box and Jambo. It's a bonus game. I'm going to guess that it will be met for, but we shall find out. I could be wrong. One that you won't want to miss out on if you like Metroid games, low percent ice race between Eddie and Oats and Goats. They're both extremely good runners. Definitely check that run out. Super Metroid is going to be great. And, of course, make sure you donate during that time to Save the Frames. I don't think I have to tell you, but I'm going to tell you because the animals get saved way too many times. The fact that this was even on backup is notable in itself. If Touch and Roll Super Monkey Ball can be included on backup, there's hope for us all. Limey has been submitting that for who knows how long, and I hope Limey keeps on doing that because I'd like to see that game on a main stage at some point. It's cool. So is Synchronica. It's another very well-known rhythm game. It's going to be a showcase between Sorobanus and Hedonic. I definitely mispronounced that. But it's going to be there. Check that one out too. Another mainstay of GDQ runners in the past is Listar. She'll be showcasing Tall. Twins Tower, which that's got to be pretty interesting. Listar does find some pretty cool games. I will always be the first to say that. And then we're going to get some arcade Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games in the mix as well. One of them is going to be the first one, Turtles in Time Arcade by OG Happy Dude, with Book of Game running the arcade sequel, just with a 2 at the end. I definitely need a break soon. We are fortunately reaching the end of this list. Holy smokies, this has been a long list to run through. We got a showcase for Battle Royale being run of Tetris 99 by OG. I think it's cool to watch Tetris 99. The showcase is going to be a lot of fun. Even watching somebody at a slightly, around the same level as OG, Uncle Sam has run quite a few showcases of Tetris 99 in the past on his channel, and I'm just going to say, it's worth the watch. I have no clue what this is about, but there's a game called The Bouncer, and there's something called Dog Street Race, and it's being run by Asuka 424, DE Cosmic, and Dynamite Dan. I have to know what that's about. We'll find out when we get to the marathon. DX Link's Awakening. It's a Game Boy Color game, and it's being run by Ryan Ford. Appears that TGH is on backup, which shocks me because TGH is one of the most iconic GDQ runners from times past. I don't think I have to explain to you who TGH is. If you know about any of the world records he used to have on Undertale, I don't think I have to tell you. I think it just goes without saying. The Sausage is running Majora's Mask. All masks. Let that sink in. I'm never going to use that meme ever again. I'm going to use that meme and I'm going to totally forget about it. But whatever. Here's a runner that always fun to watch in any marathon. Mr. Shasta will be running Phantom Hourglass, Legend of Zelda, 90% category. So be sure to check that out. I don't think I have to say anything about Shasta. Very cool runner. I've been in multiple GDQs in the past. Certainly one of the reasons I kept at speedrunning as a whole, especially, in college. I can certainly say that much. Waffle Soup will be running Time Spinner, and I'm pretty sure if I'm thinking to the right person, she was at a Speedfest. I know Time Spinner was. Be sure to check that out. Brian Otto and Sapphire and Pink will be running Titanfall, all helmets. That'll be a race. That's going to be an interesting one, too. Party Man X, been in GDQs in the past. Funnily enough, for Tony Hawk Pro Skater. And in this case, it's going to be Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. I love Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. I'm happy it's in the marathon. I'm going to try to check that out because it's a good time. We'll see how they handle the soundtrack thing because, copyright and, I'm sure it's no big deal. Buck Doctor will be running Totally Rad. That's an 90% category. We got UN Squadron 1cc being run by Mega Retro Man. I can't possibly be that slow unless 1cc means something completely different. I'm stuck in racing mode. We're almost at the end of this list, I promise. Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception, being run by Rolling Gizmo. Void Rot being run by Allison 8-Bit. And then we have, of course, a re-release of We Love Katamari Reroll Plus Royal Reverie being run by Haru Tomo. And that should always be pretty cool. Katamari speedruns are something else, I'll just say that. One thing I do wish was on the final list was Wii Music's Pitch Perfect category. I remember watching it when The Bassoonist did a run of it at Midwest Speedfest last year. It's cool. I know there's a lot of good games and they had to make tough choices, but if it were me, I would have led it onto the final list. We'll see. It might get the chance. You never know. These last three will be for sure on there. Sharif has been in GDQ in the past. Did run the NES Barbie game. There's a bug flying around. Sorry, guys. Wirehead is going to be the run that he'll be running. It's a Deathless category, which that ought to be very interesting. Part of the silly block, so ooh. Ooh, that one. We'll see how that all winds up going. The last two, people know about most of them. Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, the sequel to the original Wolfenstein, being run by Anarchy. Anarchy's got quite a few runs in this marathon. Good for her. Finally, Xenoblade Chronicles Future Connected, 80% casual mode by New Amber. And that's your final list for GDQ. A lot of different games that, it's like sometimes I don't think of the ones that are included and other times I do. And I will say it's always very interesting to see the new faces, but there's also a lot of very familiar people that are, already known to gonna be putting on a good show, and it's cool. It's cool. I'm very happy to see who's going to be included, and let me be the first to say, you have no excuse not to check it out. It's going to be this July. It's out in the Midwest. If you can make it in person, I'd highly encourage it. It's a good time. We'll see. I'm going to have to make up my mind if I want to show for a few days. I'm not sure. I'm not sure as of yet. But yeah, we're about halfway through all the major topics so far for this episode of the Glass Podcast. I will be back. We're going to get to a bit of a roller coaster coming up for the next half. There is no good way to prepare for this next topic. I'm just going to say that we had to muddle through some stuff. I'll be right back. Going to take a short break. You can walk around for a few minutes. Don't go away. Or you can go away for a little bit. We'll be right back. Okay, we're going to just quickly get back into the swing of things. I'm going to take a sip of water. Water's good. I will have to just be the first to say this next topic is going to be one that's not going to be so fun to talk about because, for better or for worse, the VTubing space was on fire this whole month. April was a month that happened for VTubing, and one would have hoped it wouldn't be nearly as all over the place. It could have very easily just been a funny little haha, April Fool's stuff as per usual, with a lot of VTubers partaking in that in some form or another. Unfortunately, other things happened, and it was made clear just before April began that Nanashi Mume was going to graduate. She was on that list of people that was going to be graduating from Hololive, which means, well, she was going to be gone. And unfortunately, it happened, but she's also, made it very clear to be lighthearted and silly in the wake of all that's happening, and a good message to spread around. I have a video that I was going to release at some point, a bit of a tribute to her. It's still in the works. It's just late. It's late, and I'll get to it. Just know that will be coming out on my secondary channel at some point or another. The Fumo might be behind me. I don't know. I'm really bad at moving my shoulders around. Shoot! Wrong direction! Oh, there she is. Sitting behind the pelican. Yeah. Nanashi Mume was really cool. Also, yeah, as if April wasn't going to be a total home wrecker. Everybody already knew that Murasaki Shion was going to be graduating as well. Like, the two of them around the exact same week, but then the real bombshell had dropped, like, halfway through April. Not much of a bombshell to those who were more on the inside, that I'd known for a while. Just simply put it, an iconoclast of VTubing, Gargura, was was the next one to announce. She was graduating for Hololive, which there had been that question of, was it going to happen? Like, and how soon was it going to happen? Some people were taken totally off guard, but like most people are like, we're surprised it didn't happen as soon as 2024, but it was certainly not. It was one of those like, oh boy, people were starting to make a lot of speculation about Hololive in general. It's like, oh, what's going on? This whole sort of thing, because people like to start culture wars when multiple VTubers graduate at once. I'm very much a neutral sort of, like, sometimes there's just kind of changes in companies. It is what it is, they might get better, they might get worse. But I cannot say with certainty right now. So I will just kind of leave it at that. That being said, a lot of people loved all three of these VTubers from Hololive. Shion was very popular. Gura was very popular. Mume was also very popular as well. So Gura did graduate at the beginning of May. I would still count it into April, lump it into April. However, the same is true of Mume, who graduated shortly after. Her last day was shortly after Shion's last day as well. There was a bit of a light in the dark for Hololive, as one of the people that retired, Amelia Watson, did show up as a guest appearance for the spring concert showcase that Takanashi Kiara did, which one could say that was a much needed moment of levity and just a moment of reprieve. Because as if somehow April could not be just more ridiculous and deeply unhappy, it usually people just kind of like take all their opportunities to go in and just sort of hot potato, or just kind of like mudsling at all the Hololive corpos. That's usually a thing that happens when like VTubers graduate. Every pressure that could have been applied to the likes of Hololive had been, let's just say, taken away from the likes of, all the attention was immediately taken away in the last week of April, naturally, because we weren't beaten up enough as an audience, especially from the indie space, with the whole bombshell that dropped, just being based off of allegations that were dropped by the likes of Nanolith, specifically about Cinder. And that name will be very recognizable to anybody who has watched VTubers for however long. People have known about Cinder for years. She's been around for quite some time. I think at least like 4 or 5 years, maybe longer than that, probably 6. I was considered one of the like preeminent faces of the indie part of VTubing. But Nanolith did drop a lot of like detailed allegations about that sort of may potentially change the way, or have most definitely changed the way that some people, if not a lot of people, view her. And I am only just going to say that this is, based off of what Nanolith is saying, as I'm just going to be kind of, I have only so much that I can say myself. However, it is impossible to ignore that this was happening, because Nanolith had made the allegation that Cinder and her manager were making pretty bad decisions to try to force Nanolith into trying to make her not work with other VTubers. That's the cliff notes of it, and it appeared to be a targeted effort. And I guess what adds to it is that the VTubers that were directly involved with her and or her manager had there had been this presumed sort of trust between them, and so the fact that had happened and had been sort of can opened by the likes of Nanolith, who is considered a high level rigger. It's just part of like that group of people that help out with the models, the rigging, all that behind the scenes sort of materials. Really tipped things upside down in the VTubing community as a whole. And it pretty much took away all the attention from Hololive or any other graduations that were taking place or upcoming. Had completely, just kind of left everything in a fiery blaze. whether it be those who had been, theoretically backstabbed or most definitely backstabbed. I cannot say for sure who was or who wasn't, as I only have so much information on it. But a lot of people that felt like they were backstabbed or betrayed had made their disappointment and or anger clear as day, and then really just like knowing that there are a lot of people, see it as a betrayal of character, especially by the likes of Cinder, who would go on to throw her own manager under the bus in a later apology, later down the line. This had very, very ugly thing that had went down, and what has got to be, an apex point in the ugliest way possible for how, April probably will be considered the most dour month in VTubing for this year, at least, if not in a very, very long time, especially considering that the worst was not quite over yet, with all that drama that I can only say so much about, unfortunately. As I said a million times before, I don't have much to say about Cinder. Certainly it's just not cool, allegations being made based off of, how it's all kind of, how it's all gone down. I will say that just add additional fire to this unfortunate month, and to really show that maybe it's not just a Hololive thing. There was, VShojo parting ways with Matara, although, Matara parting ways did not mean that Matara was done. It just meant that she's no longer working with VShojo, and then also, the sudden departure of Ike Evelyn from Niji Sanji just kind of, puts things in perspective for a lot of people who are fans of VTubing as a whole, is that this is an ugly, difficult period of growing pains. A lot of growing pains. And just that whole... a lot of things did not have to go as badly as they did, but here we are, and when something goes wrong, then you have to, it's just, you have to be patient, deal with it, sit through it. I know I could have talked a lot longer about VTubing in April, but it was, it happened. We'll just say it happened, and if your favorites were able to carry you through this rather difficult time, that's fantastic. If you were sad or, having a difficult time, let's just say that I would like to believe there are better times on the horizon for those of you who are fans of this, of VTubing as a whole. I would think that there is going to be a lot more to look forward to going into May and the rest of the summer. I feel more inclined to give a positive perspective on this because I would not want to believe that it was going to get worse, but you never know. I will certainly say that it can't possibly be any crazier than April, but we shall find out. Hopefully that is not a jinx. I'm going to knock on a piece of wood right here. And hopefully May should be a little bit better. The worst thing that happens this month being the final day for Agura, but, them's the breaks. Something that'll be a little bit more fun to talk about is the music I listened to in April. We are now a third of the way through the year. We're through January, February, March, and April of 2025, and, well, let's just say there were quite a few good albums that I was able to check out. One that I didn't get to complete, but I definitely will try to, is Luminescent Creatures by Ichiko Ioba. She showed up in past years. Was fairly high up on the artist list last year. Didn't win it, but was making it back again in a very stacked year, no less. Quite a few albums. I really enjoyed what I heard in the first 5 minutes, and I intend to listen to the rest of it. There's more. There is, of course, more that I did not get to talk too much about, but I suppose we're going to have to start, go up the line and, talk about what I listened to. I listened to Noi, specifically the first Noi album. It's interesting. It's an interesting album. I really like what's going on. Just kind of gonna have to feel it out because it stands sort of in this fine line between ambient music and also like that first wave of like post punk and garage rock that was just slowly but surely festering. It doesn't necessarily just sit concretely in one place, but its daringness is admirable, and there's a lot of fun. There's quite a few really good songs on there, and for what it does well, it does really, really well. It's not going to make it too far up the list, but I have no gripes calling it great. So, Noi, first Noi album. There's more. If you guys like a more anime-coded sound of music, you're definitely going to like Konomi Suzuki's album 17. A whole lot of different songs, probably taken from a variety of different anime shows, whether it be openers, closers, or just original studio recordings. It's solid. It's pretty good. I would encourage listening to that one as well. Plenty of good songs to take home from that one. Another one that I listened to in the month. I'm trying to save the best for last, but don't blame me if I don't quite get through all of them. Trying to think. At least one of them is the album Red Velvet, their first album. And it kind of has that, like, the sound of the time in the mid 2000s. You can definitely hear a lot of that on the first album, but it's aged better than a lot of pop music from the time, and it's a K-pop album that, with warranted re-listens, will be great. I would say is not going to be as high up as Noi, but it's going to be on the list as well. I got a few songs in there that I like, but I just haven't been able to zero in specifically what those ones are. We'll figure it out. Moving right along. An album that I gave a chance, knowing that I was probably not going to like it too much, is I Am Music by Playboi Carti. Playboi Carti didn't really impress me the first two albums of his that I listened to, but I listened to I Am Music, and in the past I've just described his music as just like not being good or being just kind of just super average. But I Am Music is pretty decent. And sometimes it can be good. There's a song that features The Weeknd on there that I really like, and then there's like at least another one on there that I really like. And the stuff that's worst on there is just average. But it's the first album of his I've listened to, and I'm like, I don't begrudge that at all. Like, I think it's a change in production that really helped out too. So yeah, I Am Music is at the bottom of the list, but if that's the worst, then we're not doing bad at all for this year of music so far. Let's see, another album. I am working my way through all of the Maria Takeuchi albums to get to her most recent album, Precious Days. I will be listening to that soon. I listen to long-time favorites, and it's a lot of covers that she enjoys. Some of them are really tacky, but others of them are really lovely. And more of it's lovely than it is tacky or cheesy, so that's good. It's a solid album, and yeah, I'm better for having had the chance to listen to it. I only have so much to say about the next few albums. Let's see, what else did I listen to in April? Well, because I'm saving the best for last, and there's probably some albums I missed. One that does warrant talking about, and simply because I really enjoyed what I heard from them in 2023, is FX. FX is a fantastic, pretty great K-pop group. I did listen to Pinocchio, their first album, a few months earlier this year. Just didn't get to talk about it. It's good. It's nothing too special. There's a few songs that are really, really fun, especially considering what would follow it, which, Pink Tape has grown on me so much in the past 2 years. Originally had it would be actually a lot higher now. It's hard to believe, which means there was a lot of expectations going into the third album of theirs, Red Light, and I would say it meets those expectations, does not exceed them or, surpass Pink Tape, but the title track is amazing. One of the best K-pop songs ever made. I would feel comfortable saying that. And the rest of the album is pretty good too. I was very happy that it ended up being good. It definitely feels familiar to the sound of like early 2000s pop music. I have no gripes saying that. But unlike some of it, it's also pretty good. Most of it lands very well. It's like a few moments that are weird, but I have no issue saying that Red Light was another great FX album. And that's really all I ever wanted, because FX, I've got all of their albums. I still have to listen to Four Walls. That's the last one I haven't heard, and I might just do it this year. And then FX will have its one and only year that I feature them on the TARP artist list. We'll see if they get any higher. Red Light is going to be an interesting prospect for the songs list, as that could potentially crack into my top 5, one of the very first K-pop songs to ever ascend that high, which would be pretty historical for my lists. Somebody who's oftentimes infamous for adding so many of those, the usual stuff. Red Light will be quite the breakthrough, and just brings having a seat at the table makes it interesting, the future of my list from here on forward. I want to say that much, especially with that idea that maybe things were going to go stagnant as far as like my the creativity, or at least the power of my picks, especially after 2024. That list has grown on me a lot and is just showing amazing strength, especially considering that I thought nothing would ever top 2019, but it's close. It's pretty close. This year, like I said before, there's only been one perfect album that I've listened to. It has not been matched or, superseded yet. So Illmatic by Nas is still at the top of my albums list, but there were some contenders that got closer. Like, for example, Tears for Fears with Songs from the Big Chair. I don't consider it to be perfect, but it is fantastic. And it's sitting in my top 5 right now, or at least pretty darn close to top 10. I have no issues saying that it's very, very well made. It's a well-aged product of its time with some far ahead, futuristic masterworks on there. Head Over Heels is amazing and it might also make its way onto the top 5. You never know. It's a possibility that could really have implications on how the end of this list all goes down. In a similar way, I have no issue saying nothing but good things about Leviathan by Mastodon, which is currently occupying my number 2 best album so far that I've listened to this year. It's just no frills, well done, heavy metal in the modern age, and there's like 1 or 2 songs where I have like some tiny nitpicks, but it is near perfect. It is extremely well done, and Blood and Thunder is an amazing song. This may possibly be near that top 5 as well. I'll have to assess as I go, but it's definitely the closest thing to the number 1 slot. Will not take over Illmatic, but it's sitting there for contention, and I am quite happy that it occupies that space. One album that probably should have been on my 2020 albums list, but somehow inexplicably forgot to add it, is Time Out of Mind by Bob Dylan. It's in my top 5. It's near perfect as well. Not as good as Leviathan, but it is definitely a worthwhile listen with the way that the album is paced. Not everything is front-loaded or back-loaded. The songs that are in the middle, quite a few great amazing songs in the middle, like To Make You Feel My Love, Standing in the Doorway, the likes of It's Not Dark Yet, and even the songs to the outsides of those 3 are also, at worst, excellent, at best, perfect for the album. I hardly ever harbor that many, complaints about like the best Bob Dylan albums, and there's very few on this one that I would mark down for. So, yeah, Time Out of Mind is probably like 3rd or 4th in that album listing right now. We'll see if it stays that way, but it's fought hard to get that far. And yeah, the album list hasn't changed too much in terms of the overall order, but there are some heavy hitters that could potentially make things interesting. And it sets the narrative for that song list being up in the air. It's a fight, I think, between the likes of Nas, the likes of Glenn Campbell, FX, Susumu Hirasawa, and at least 2 other artists. That top 5 is not going to be solidified until the end of the year. I would be willing to bet. Will not be solidified until the end of the year, and then I'm going to have to make a tough decision in that regard, which makes that list very interesting. Maybe it might not be as strong as last year's song list yet, but let's not jump to conclusions, because a lot can change. A lot could, swing in the polar opposite direction, and I'm looking forward to the new music I'll get the chance to listen to, or just stuff that I haven't dug deep enough into. Speaking of albums that I never dug into, Moon Madness by Camel, which borderline top 5. It's an awesome prog rock album for the classic era. Definitely worth a listen. Specifically Lunar Sea and Song Within a Song. Those 2 are the best tracks off of that album, but everything else on there is also, at worst, excellent. Same case as Songs for the Chair and Bob Dylan's Time Out of Mind. They're all in a very similar level of quality. If I were to pick my picks, I put Time Out of Mind above Songs from the Big Chair and Songs from the Big Chair above Moon Madness. That's just kind of how I feel right now. But that could change at any point in time. We'll see. It's going to be a very interesting progression as far as the year goes, and I get more time to sit with all 3 of them, everything else that I listened to for the first time this month, and last month, technically speaking. And with that all being said, I passed 50 albums that I've listened to for the first time this year, which I'm happy that my lists aren't falling way back. That being said, I'm probably not going to match last year's numbers. I'm not willing. I wouldn't even think that it will be there, but you never know. It certainly does, being that this year is still a higher quantity, which means that there's a good chance the quality will be comparable. We will certainly get the time to figure that out in the near future. But we got a few topics left. Not many. We're starting to near the end of the podcast. I remember I made some nominations for my my personal awards for Mario Kart 64. Again, they're not sanctioned. I need to make this clear, otherwise Abney's going to tell me, class, it's not actually the community's awards, it's your awards. I'm like, I know. I need to do a better job communicating that. My unsanctioned award ceremony will be happening sometime this month, and I figured I would announce that so that those of you who were nominated, I'll put the list up again. I don't know exactly when. I'm going to figure out awards. Official awards will also have some picks that I'm going to be making. That's still a work in progress. Do not give up hope on the actual awards. They will drop when they drop. Abney's working hard. That's all I need to say. My actual ceremony, I'd sat on it a little bit too long. Job situation, kind of that whole thing was at the forefront of my mind, but also just kind of streaming and other more important projects. So I'll do a ceremony for it and announce my own winners. I'm guessing it's going to be, at worst, at the end of May or sometime in the month of May. There will be an announcement the week of. Be sure to check that out. And if you would like to give a thank you speech for winning, I mean, you know where to find me. Your boy's right here. Your person of interest is in this screen talking to you right now. So, if you're interested in that and you'd like to jump into VC, thank who you want to thank, blah, 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 you know the deal. I'll give some window of opportunity, and unlike the Academy Awards and unlike the Grammys, I'll give you more than 45 seconds to speak your speak, talk the talk. As long as you don't say anything stupid, I will allow it. Yes. It's a short announcement. I figured I would say it's not dead. I know my work in awards seems a lot less fast than it used to be. I hit a very difficult writer's block, which should tell you, the place that I'm in right now hasn't exactly been the most tenable for working on awards. But I'm going to have more time to work on it, but I'm also going to have more time to work on another project. I'm going to be releasing a video, which will explain a lot of things, illuminate where my life has been at, and where I expect it to go. And I would say that for the tone of it, I would expect to see kind of very similar tone that there was in the recap that Haddock did for PA Kart Meet, as I'll certainly be talking about that again, but also just kind of recapping Midwest Speedfest in greater detail. It's going to be much more professional. Let's just say it's going to have a similar, just emotional feeling to it. I can't reveal too much about that video, but it is going to drop at some point. But it feels warranted, especially in the wake of all that is happening, considering the end of the Northwood saga is coming up soon. It's all kind of just there in front of y'all. You should not be too surprised by that. I do want to say that there things that had to be illuminated. I'm going to be taking some steps out of my usual comfort zone to talk about things that I don't normally talk about. Certainly explain why I'm in such a place that I'm in. And it really will shed light on the future, kind of where things go, how that all goes down and whatnot. And we'll say that it's an important video. I'll put it that way. And I can't reveal too much more. The only other thing I've got to say tonight, I know we're just slightly under 2 hours, and I can't burn a full 10 minutes. Sorry for those of y'all who think that was going to happen, but no, I'm not going to find a way to do that. But I will say that the next episode of the Glass Podcast will be this month. I'm not going to wait as long between episodes 3 and 4. I like to stick to Sundays, but with this next one, I probably won't be able to just put it solely on Sunday. Simply put it, it's going to be my next episode that has a second special guest. Our first one was Haddock. I'll have to leave y'all in a bit of suspense as to what the second one is. I'm still going to keep it close to the Mario Kart 64 community for the time being, and we'll, branch out and add more people as time goes by. I only have so much to say about it, but you'll have plenty to look forward to, plenty of interesting discussion topics when I get to the second guest episode. That one should be pretty cool too. I would highly encourage y'all to check that one out when I make the announcement for it. And the person who will be my special guest for that episode 5 will be in contact about that soon. Just not sure how soon that will be, but it's kind of bound to happen. With that all being said, I'd like to thank you all for watching the episode 4 of the Glass Podcast. I'll have a stream schedule released tomorrow morning, probably like around lunch after I'm done with my workout and all that stuff. And if you want to be up to date and learn everything in the moment, this is going to be the place you want to be. I know I've already advertised it before, but that was at the beginning of the stream. I'm going to do it again at the end of the stream. Glass Cabinet. This is the place to check out. I do my announcements. It's a very casual place for talk with yours truly and other people who are pretty cool too. You can find that there. I'll probably stream tomorrow. I'm not exactly sure I'm going to stream tomorrow, but we'll figure it out. It might be Metroid Prime. I don't know. I might try to complete the playthrough tomorrow. I might not. I don't know. But we'll do something. There will be some Metroid-themed stuff this month, and there will certainly be quite a few exciting things to look forward to, despite moving on from one stage of my life to the next. I always like to say that there are good things, good times awaiting us all. Specifically, those of you who like to watch my channel. But I am done here. Thank you all for watching. This has been episode 4. The Glass Podcast is done for tonight. Stay tuned. I'll see you all for whenever the next one is, or whenever my next stream is. Until then, I wish you all a very good night. Take care.